So I'm really excited to have all three of you up here. You guys are all in excellent form heading into next week. Phil, you carded your best LIV finish ever in Hong Kong, finishing in third place. Sergio, you've been on a heater. You won once. Your team has won 3 in a row. Jon, you continue your impressive streak of no finishes outside of the top 10 in your LIV history. Incredible. Phil, I'm going to start with you. Next week at Augusta, what would another green jacket mean to you at this stage in your career?
Yeah, it's hard to look that far ahead, but it's fun heading into the tournament, which is a week that we all cherish the most. Like, it's the start of the major championship series. History's made there every year, and to be a part of the past history with the three of us having won there, and knowing that every time we go back, we're a part of the history and we get to partake in everything that transpires that week, and the way they treat the past champions, which is better than any tournament in the world. It's just a special feeling to be a part of that. It's almost a religious experience every time you set foot on Augusta National.
Sergio, you will be competing in your 100th major next week. I know that's a lot to take in, but if you can just reflect on that for a moment and what that means.
Yeah, not as many as Phil, but just getting up there. I think that, to me, it just shows the same with Phil. It just shows the quality and the consistency that we've had through our careers. It's not a lot of people have been able to get over the 100 major mark. So it's obviously an honor and something that I'm super proud of. And I'm just looking forward to going there. Really enjoy the week, no matter what happens game-wise. Obviously, I'm going to give it everything I have, but just really cherish the week, really enjoy it with the family and all my partners out there, and just try to have the best week possible.
And Jon, you are the definition of consistency, as we've just talked about with all of your top 10 finishes. Do you feel like you have momentum heading into the first major of the season?
I'm feeling good. Yeah. I've been able to have a lot of good finishes, but I would say it hasn't been what I would consider playing my best. I think I've scored really, really well, but with some level of discomfort in some parts of my game that I kind of need to get over to accomplish bigger things, right? Especially talking about major championships. And I think I'm very close to that, if not over that, right? I think especially the last few weeks I've been playing really good golf, feeling really comfortable. Obviously, Augusta's a whole different level, and so is the Blue Monster. But that's why I like this week. It's such a good prep for a major event coming up. So I'm looking forward to this week first, see hopefully some of those improvements, and coming next week with a clear mind of what to do, right? But I'm either way, I'm always just absolutely blindly confident in my abilities. I think all of us up here, anytime we tee it up, we're thinking we're going to win, and that's why they've accomplished a lot of what they have and everything that they have. So, but I'm still looking forward to hopefully seeing those changes that now I'm talking have been there for better part of a year and a half, right? That just haven't gotten over that.
Great. I'll open it up to the room. If you raise your hand. We got one up front.
This is kind of for all three of you guys. Phil, you've been known to do some really fun things going into a major. Obviously, you're coming from Bermuda here, and some Bermuda, like kind of a mix next week with bent greens and stuff. This is kind of for all three of you. Equipment changes specifically for next week. Are you guys changing any clubs in the bag? Do anything fun there, or is it kind of just show up with what you got now and see what happens?
So I remember back in the 80s when Ray, or I guess the 70s when Ray Floyd won, and when Curtis Strange in 85 was, they were playing the course, they were putting a 5-wood in the bag for the par 5s, and now that the tees have been moved back on some of the holes, that's actually a club for me that is going to come into play. So I've been working on a 5-wood in the offseason. I've got one I really like, and that I anticipate hitting into 13 and 15 based on the last couple of years where my ball is ending up off the tee and the yardage I have left. That's one club that I've been working on. I tried to get a 7-wood in the bag. It didn't quite work out for me. Some of these guys hit that 6 and 7-wood incredible. I overspent it, so it's not really a great club for me. But the 5-wood is a club I anticipate hitting like a high cut into 13 and 15. I don't know about. I'm kind of curious what club you guys are putting in.
No, I'm not. I'm not really putting anything. I do have. I always play with a 5-wood, so that's a club that I already have in the bag. I probably put new wedges in just to have a nice set of fresh wedges. It's always nice to be able to have a little bit more confidence on being able to spin the ball around the greens when it comes down to chipping there Augusta because it's so treacherous. Some of the chips that you can have. But other than that, I don't plan on putting anything new. I try to keep my bag as steady as possible throughout the season, so that way, you know, I keep consistency on it, and you know, hopefully that will work.
I'm not changing anything either, but you knew that, Johnny. So the only, for the people that may not know, the only club that will vary to the 2-iron or 5-wood, and pretty much, unless I'm in Europe, it's 5-wood all around for the same reason Phil just said. Usually comes in better into play in par 5s than the 2-iron. If anything, in the Open and some events in Europe, I'll use it off the tee. But even then, sometimes I still play the 5-wood, so no changes for me.
I think we got one back here.
Hi, guys. Tim Reynolds with the AP. It's for all three of you. I'd like to start with Phil, though. The majors are the majors, and they're obviously the four big ones. Do they take on even more importance now that you only get really the 4 times a year to play against the guys you used to play against and be on that stage? Does it take on even more importance now that you've come to LIV?
It would be easy to say that it does, but in actuality, they've always had that importance heading in, because those are what define a career. And those events have always had that extra incentive or elevation or status. And so it would certainly be easy to say that, but in actuality, when I was playing the PGA Tour, it still had that extra meaning, I would say.
No, I don't. Like Phil said, I don't think that's the main thing that makes the majors that much more important. I think for me, and I said it last year. Now being on LIV and obviously loving it here, but because of the world rankings and everything, it becomes a little bit tougher for me to be able to play all 4. I've come to realize that every time I'm in one of those majors, that I have to not only give everything that I have, which I always do, but also make sure that I enjoy it as much as possible, because you never know when it's going to be your last one. You know, I've been very fortunate to play to pretty much not miss a major for 25 years. Only missed one in I think in 24 years because of COVID, the 2020 Masters. And you know, even if you don't want it, you start thinking that that's normal, and it's easy to be part of the majors, but it's not. So I've come to realize that, and I try to make sure to enjoy every single one I play now as much as I can.
I mean, I agree with what they both said. It's hard to make any of the majors matter even more. So it's the pinnacle of our sport, and like Phil said, they define a career, right? So it's hard to make it more than that.
Hi, Sergio, Rahm, Mickelson. Sergio, again, I'd like to congratulate you on your 3 consecutive wins with the Fireballs. And I want to ask this to all of you. Have you noticed a difference in energy or experience, not only for the fans, but for you as golfers in a LIV event compared to traditional tournament?
You want to go?
Yeah. Just one, or he's
Well, there's obviously, we have, in our LIV events, we have amazing competition. We have great energy every week. I think the team aspect of it makes it extra special. And like you said, going out there and playing not only for yourself but for your teammates and getting a win together and everything like that. It's something that is very unique and very special, and it obviously brings a different energy to not only to the tournament but to the players itself. So we love that part of it, and we're always thrilled about it every single week.
There's something that makes those events very special, and I can give you two examples that relate one for Sergio, one for me. Even though coming down the stretch on a Sunday, individually, the last few holes you may not be able to affect your position too much, it still has a massive impact on the team. Sergio in Hong Kong had a big lead going down 18. Could have hit lob wedge, lob wedge, lob wedge, lob wedge, 3-putt and win, right? So he could have made that hole as easy as he wanted, but he still needed to par for the team to win by 1. So there's an aspect of intensity and pressure that you wouldn't otherwise have. In my case, last year here, I was finishing on the second hole, and I think we were, as a team, 1 ahead. Individually, I was out of contention, right? So finishing down the stretch, knowing that if I were to make a par or a birdie, it would definitely further the team's cause to win, because none of the finishing holes at this golf course are easy, right? So having to go through 7, 8, and possibly, I think Caleb was finishing on 5 or 6, which, everything can get tricky on this golf course. I had a level of intensity into what was going on that otherwise I wouldn't have, right? And I think it's what makes it also so special. It's just you're not only playing for yourself, there's also a team and a team leaderboard to play for, right? And even though individually you may be out, you're never out as a team, especially this year that all 4 scores count every day. So it's an added extra that makes it so special.
I think that the winning, like when you're on the PGA Tour, like you're in it for yourself, and it's a very individual. Golf's always been an individual sport, and as LIV progresses and brings a team dynamic from a player standpoint, it brings in this support system that makes it a lot more fun when you play well. So Sergio wins individually and as a team, but even if his team didn't win, you've got 3 guys that are pulling for him, supporting him, and celebrating his success. And then to be able to share that on the team aspect, there's an element of kind of camaraderie that I haven't experienced on the PGA Tour when it was so individualistic. So I think that brings a different energy that's fun to be a part of.
Okay, Bob.
This is for Sergio, and also another one for all. I think it was your 19th Masters before you won. Was there something you figured out along the way that made it easier that you maybe didn't do early on? And I would ask that to Phil too. It took 12, I think, for Phil. That over the years that you changed your approach to try to figure it out, and also has that been missing maybe the last couple of years?
No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's to go there and enjoy the week as much as possible. I think that sometimes, we're competitors and we want to go there and do really well, but sometimes you kind of get too much in your head, and obviously I had my issues with Augusta when it comes down to that, where I just get frustrated and maybe feel like I don't get what I deserve or something like that. So I think that like I was saying earlier, it's important for me to go out there and enjoy the week no matter what, and just do it because it's worth it, because it's an amazing week, and it's something that not only for you but for your family, you can create so many amazing memories, and it just doesn't have to be about playing well. And it's something that I kind of figure out a little bit last year. On Friday I kind of lost my head a little bit, and because of that it cost me missing the cut, and I'm happy to say it. It was all my fault, and you just have to regroup, and that's what I want to do, and we'll see. We'll see what happens next week, but I just want to go there and really enjoy it because it's the way it should be.
Actually, I'm gonna just throw a little comment there on Sergio too, because from a guy outside looking in, and I'm not Sergio, but it looked like the year that he won, you like managed your emotions when you had a bad break or two much better, and didn't, like you say, let it get to you. You've always had the game, you've always had the talent, you've always driven it so well, you've always been such a incredible ball striker. Augusta's a great course for you, and it seemed like when you had a few bad breaks, for whatever reason, you just were in this calm state of mind where it didn't affect you. And I thought that was a interesting thing as players to take away, to learn from. And for me personally, it was something very similar. It was the 15th hole is a hole that I would press, I would force the issue. I had lost the tournament a number of times on 15 before I ended up winning it. And when I finally did win it in 04, I felt like, all right, 5 is okay there. Like I could lose the tournament on 15. I don't need to make 4 every time. And so I would always press the issue, and I'd make 6, 7 a number of times trying to make a 4. And when I finally accepted a 5 on that hole and tried to win it elsewhere, that's when I seemed to finally break through. In fact, in 04, I shot 31 the back 9 to win by 1, and I did not birdie 15. I made a par. So that was the hole that I felt like being more patient and taking a different strategy and not pushing the issue allowed me to ultimately take advantage of the other holes to win.
Have any of you guys been there this spring leading up to this?
No.
I heard there's a lot of different looks with some missing trees and stuff, but I'm sure it'll be great.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom.
I'll give you a little Augusta story, if I may. Well, we got a minute. Speaking of trees going down, I was playing a practice round there one year. It was 2 weeks prior to the tournament. Probably nobody even knows that this happened, but 2 weeks prior to the tournament, I'm playing the 11th hole. I'm back lining up my tee shot, and I see this tree on the left fall over right in the middle of the fairway, crash down, like right by the group in front of us. And, they were probably 100 yards away. This massive Georgia pine comes down, rips up the fairway, and so forth. So by the time I had walked from my tee shot into the fairway, I could hear on the walkie-talkie, get off of 2, get to 11, get off of 4, get to 11. And these 100 workers, I don't know how many, there were a number of workers like piling in, racing to this tree, firing up the chainsaws, started cutting this thing down. So now the limbs, by the time I walk off of 11 green, all the limbs of the tree have been cut off and put on a truck on the back of like these carts. By the time I got to 15, I looked down, they were cutting up the trunk, and the entire tree was being brought away. And by the time I got done and get back to 18T and I looked down,
books.
they're resodding the fairway. Like nobody knew. You couldn't tell 2 days later this had happened. And I just thought, like, if that was my home course back, that tree would still be there like 3 weeks later. And they had this thing removed. Like it was one of the most impressive things I had seen, like their ability to handle stuff like that. So I'm sure the course can be in great shape.
Phil, you mentioned the traditions, one of them being for the former winners, one of them being the dinner on Tuesday. I want for each of you what that tradition means, going to that dinner on Tuesday, and just how much you look forward to that. And Sergio, you said in 2018 you couldn't wait to get around all the great champions to hear their stories. Do you have, for you, additionally, do you have a favorite story that you may have heard from anybody that year?
Yeah, Tuesday night is one of the most special nights we have all year. I think that to be able to sit in that room with so many champions and like you were saying, so many amazing stories, it's great. It's great. You get to spend time with with your fellow players and friends and talk about all kinds of things going in life with your family, with your game, with the week, and you get to hear some really cool stories from everyone, but mostly from the older guys. It's always great fun to hear some of the stories from like the 60s and 70s and how they were playing the course and things like that. So none in particular, obviously, but it's I think it's a treat. I think that it's a very unique little club that you get to be a part of, and we always look forward to it.
Go ahead, John.
I've only been to one dinner, so looking forward to this one. I mean, I only know the stories from the last one, right? I think it was April 9th when we had the dinner, which was the anniversary of. It would have been Sevi's birthday, so a lot of that dinner was Sevi focused. Now having Ollie there, sharing stories of what happened and things that Sevi did is really incredible. But I think it was really cool how everybody in the room kind of came together, started sharing stories that was Ryder Cup based or Sevi based, and it was really fun for me to see a player that's kind of known for being quiet, Bernhard Langer, almost take over, and he couldn't wait to tell his next story and just keep on going and going and going to the point where somebody had to say, okay, let Ollie speak because he might have a few better ones, right? But Bernhard just kind of took over and started sharing stories, and that was really cool. That was really special. I heard things I'd never heard before, and just to be in that room where you have some of the greatest, if not the greatest champions in the history of the game, just listening to him share the stories of Sevi was quite special. And if every dinner is like that, then yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can top that one, but that was quite incredible.
Yeah, I think the older guys, like Gary Player's a great storyteller, and he's got some great stories that he shared. Bob Golby, Jack Nicklaus, like when they talk, their stories are incredible. Bernhard, Olafable, they have, when they, I think that's my favorite part of the dinner is kind of during dessert, guys will kind of stand up and tell some stories. I remember Palmer. I wish they would videotape those guys tell some stories because it's so much better coming from them than hearing it secondhand. But I remember a story that Palmer used to tell me when we played one time. I'm not sure if he shared it at the dinner or not, but he really looked up to Ben Hogan. Like that was a big thing for him, and he had an opportunity to play a practice round with him just prior to the 56 Masters, and he had just won a tournament Sunday. And he drove all night. He drove like 8 hours to get to Augusta to play a practice round with Ben Hogan, Dow Finsterwall, and I think I forget who the fourth was. And so they go out and play, and Arnold's tired. He hadn't slept, and he just won, and he's emotionally spent, and he kind of hit it everywhere. He kind of slapped it around, and he overheard as they finished the round and they're having lunch, and he goes to wash his hands or whatnot. He kind of hears Hogan say, "How did that kid get into this tournament?" And like that really got him upset. And he said, he never called me Arnie, he never called me Palmer, he always called me Kid. He said, I never liked that. And he said, that really spurred me on. Like I was determined to show him, and he went out and won that year. And it just gave him that like little edge, like, I'm going to go show him, what I'm doing here. And that little comment that he overheard kind of spurred him on, and hearing me tell is not anything like hearing it from Arnold. Like that guy could really tell some stories, but I thought that was always an interesting take because he had that little extra motivation.
I know we could sit here all day and hear stories from Augusta. We've got time for one more, and then we've got all of our guys.
I've got 20 more, Jane, if we have time.
If you want to hang out afterwards, Phil, hear it from your mouth first. One of the three of you guys pick. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, guys. Phil, this is for you. Obviously, a lot of attention will be on Rory next week. There was a time in your career, 6 majors or so ago, when the question every week would be, is this your time? How hard is it to compartmentalize, to put away what other people are going to expect of you, or in Rory's case, of him next week?
Yeah, that's it. That's challenging, but he's done it so many times in his ability to win tournaments. He's been able to compartmentalize that. That I don't think that's going to be an issue for him. I think that he drives the ball so long and straight that he has a huge advantage on that golf course. He and about 20 guys that drive it like he does will have an advantage of playing it a certain way. They'll have to play it. They can play it a certain way that is much more aggressive and take advantage of holes than some others, than guys like myself. But you still have to execute. You still have to hit the shots. And I think that's what he's focused on. I think his ability to compartmentalize all the things that have transpired in the past is a strength of his. So I don't think it'll be an issue, or I don't think that's what's holding him back from winning the Masters.
Okay, we have all 12 LIV golfers who are participating in the Masters coming up to take a photo, and then immediately following that, we have Joaquin Niemann, Brooks Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau.